Ladies and gentlemen, it is Tuesday. Time for some Turnbuckle Talk, episode 422. What goes in, what goes out. This is your host, Chris Best, alongside with OMD, who is trapped in the loop, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he's got the nodding. He's rocking out to the theme over and over and over again. But today, guys, I had a little bit of a dental situation today. Had to go and get my uh, I had to go and get some fillings in my teeth because my previous ones fell out. um, so if I sound like I'm slurring in my words a little bit, it's because I'm recovering from that right now. OMD still got that music going on. Right now, I've got NXT on the screen, and I'm actually surprised. I'm sitting here. I saw Hank and Tank in a tag team match. I'm like, who's that third man? And then I'm like, oh, say his name, and he appears. um, just waiting on OMD to escape the loop, as it were. This is a long one. Um, yeah, so I'm just I'm waiting on OMD to get to not loop. There
And
he
I'm out
is.
of the loop. I am out of the loop, which a lot that explains a whole lot in terms of real life as well.
um, I was just telling everybody that I just had fillings on my teeth right now. So if it sounds like I'm slurring and all that, it's because I'm recovering from it. Because there is still a tad bit of numbness I'm feeling. It's not as prevalent as it was when I was trying to shop at Mark's this afternoon.
Right.
That was an interesting one.
Oh, I can imagine. I know
Everybody.
I'm still under the weather from the last well, this is day 3
Mm.
and it just has not been fun.
No, I can imagine. Me trying to eat my dinner too. That was an adventure too. Because I'm trying not to put any pressure on the fillings right now because
Right.
it just feels strange right now. But I'm sure over time I'll get used to it. All I did was make myself a mess of. They have these things at our grocery store called Smudlers or something like that, and it's just bagged potatoes with mixed with peppers and this particular one steak I
Yeah.
got.
Yeah, they're like breakfast hash browns.
Yeah, but I cook those up and make them with my dinner. So
Yeah, of course.
had those with sausage, and that felt really weird trying to chew and eat at the same
I
time.
I actually I hit the grocery store and I bought a couple of those Rico's dinner for two in the Capoletti soup for supper tonight.
Nice.
Had it cooking, was hoping to have time to get it eaten before the show tonight, but it didn't quite finish cooking. Didn't want to leave the stove on during the show, so gonna have to finish cooking it afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, speaking of the show, what do you say we roll right into it with one of our stories right now?
Let's do it. I believe, folks, it's showtime.
And as OMD goes right back into the loop, hopefully he'll be out soon. We're going to take a trip over to Perth, Australia, where it has been formally announced as of Friday. SmackDown, Raw, and a PLE. We were told we're going to be there. That PLE has now been revealed to us as Crown Jewel. I think this is an interesting one. Because Crown Jewel is typically a Saudi Arabia pay per view.
Yes.
Um, when they said it was going to be Crown Jewel, I was like, "Huh?" Because I'm used to it being a Saudi show.
Right. And I know, like, last year, of course, we had the Elimination Chamber in Perth. Prior to that, the last PLE that was held in Australia, which was held in Melbourne, I believe, was another one that would typically have been a Saudi show, and I can't remember what it was at that time.
Oh, I think I know which one you're talking about. But I can't recall. I can't think of the name right offhand either. But yeah, as it says here, in its first, this is according to Ella J. Giving a shout out to her. In its first 6 iterations, WWE Crown Jewel took over the city of Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. In 2025, that tradition comes to an end as WWE heads to the land down under for it instead, which explains Rhea Ripley's absence from Raw last night. She was in Australia promoting the event.
Yes. Which
Sorry,
Michael Cole did address on Raw last night. I know it's a little harder for us to hear Raw when we're doing the Raw Patrol.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I was unavailable to be there. I mean, anybody who even saw the locker room breakdown know it was a rushed show, so to speak, and that was just due to my health.
Yeah, per a press release, WWE has now confirmed Perth, Western Australia. Western Australia is the province. I think they call it provinces there. State? Okay.
State.
As the location for Crown Jewel 2025. The event will specifically emanate from the RAC Arena Saturday, October 11th. This comes as part of the previously announced mini tour titled Takeover Perth, which is what they're calling the whole weekend. Essentially, It's going to be Raw and SmackDown. Those shows will take place on Friday, October 10th, Monday, October 13th, respectively, in the same venue. So the same venue is going to host all 3 events.
Right.
So far, and there has been talent who have been confirmed, and this is the first one is an obvious one. John Cena has been confirmed for this.
Yes.
And it will mark his final WWE appearance. Keywords there. In Australia as part of his ongoing retirement tour. Australia natives Grayson Waller and Rhea Ripley recently flew out to Perth to promote the string of events. Rhea, as we just noted, Rhea was there last night. Grayson was there over the weekend. Like last year, Crown Jewel 2025 will also see the Crown Jewel Championship up for grabs. That's interesting too.
Yes.
Because I thought that those belts were tied only to Saudi Arabia.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But they could be tied specifically to
just the event.
So does that mean that Cody and Liv are defending those belts and those rings? Or are we going to just get new contenders and new Crown Jewel champions automatically? Like, are we going to see, like we saw last year, where it was Cody versus Gunther and Liv versus Nia? Are we going to get the same thing this year with, say, Jey Uso versus
John
Cena and Tiffany Stratton versus Io Sky?
I think that's what we're going with. I think that's going to be the annual thing. There's the 2 top champions from each brand battle it out in separate singles matches.
Right.
Yeah, WWE's last trip to Perth occurred last year, where, again, we talked about the Elimination Chamber. Now, as far as programming notes go, for the PLE Patrol, it's up in the air right now because that's like 5 months away.
Yeah.
There will be SmackDown and SmackDown Security Detail, Raw Patrol. We're more than likely going to do those, similar to what we did when they did the European tour.
Yes.
Because those events are going to air at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
For anybody who's going to watch. So.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for this. I love actually any time that they go to it's been a hot crowd. Even there was a Coliseum videotape that I bought before they eliminated the Coliseum video name, and it was a show called Global Warning in
Yes.
Australia. And I watched that, and the one takeaway I had from the first time I watched that tape was how hot the crowd was. The crowd in Australia is impeccable.
Yeah. And you know what? It's funny because, we look at Australia and we see it as, I mean, it is its own country, it is its own continent. But you look at that whole area, and that is sort of the new hotbed for pro wrestling and the wrestlers coming out of it. Now, I mean, we go back a year when a guy like Bronson Reed missed the show due to the birth of his child. He had to miss Elimination Chamber because he was having his second child.
Yeah, and he was scheduled to be on that show, but they had to pull him because of that.
Yes. So
But
now he's going to get that opportunity potentially.
Yeah, potentially.
Crown Jewel.
He'll be back. He'll be back in action by that point. And whether it's Raw or even SmackDown as well, regardless of what show, because I do remember the tweet he had made where he was both happy and sad.
Yep.
Sad that he couldn't do the show, but happy that his boy was born.
Yeah, exactly.
But this is going to be interesting. Ticket information for Crown Jewel, Raw, and SmackDown in Perth will be made available in the coming weeks. Still, tickets aren't up for grabs just yet. But if I had the money, I would gladly fly to Perth.
Right.
And check everything out.
Well, who knows? If I win the Lotto Max tonight at 75 mil, maybe I'll take the Turnbuckle affiliation program.
Nice. Private jet and all.
No. We'll fly first class.
Fly first class in that one. Eddie had fly first class with them.
Yeah,
those are $20,000 tickets for people who don't know.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, no, I'm totally jacked about this. Like, I love the fact that the WWE again, and I've stated this numerous times, but they're putting the world in WWE in World Wrestling Entertainment again. And I love the fact that we're getting these more international events, and that the U.S. isn't. The WWE isn't just stuck touring the U.S. Not to
right. You're muted. You're muted, Mr. Best. But to further Mr. Best's point is the world. And I love it because it's not just North America.
Yeah, as I was saying, I like that they're traveling the world, because now for me, like, as I'm looking at a shot of Backlash France from last year, it makes me I now think of, like, okay, what's this crowd going to be like? Ooh, I can't wait for this crowd again.
Yeah.
It used to be that way. Remember when WWE used to do their UK tours every year?
Yeah.
I used to get so excited for those because of how hot the London crowd always got.
Yeah.
Now I've got that curiosity with crowds that they've never been to. Like for Raw, when they went to Brussels there, I was so excited for that show.
Right. And I mean, you look, because there is only one Saudi show on the PLE calendar for this year.
That's because they're doing the Royal Rumble next year in Saudi.
Yeah, I know.
But it's weird that King and Queen of the Ring aren't listed.
No, because they are not on the calendar for this year.
Mm-hmm.
As well, I believe, from my understanding, is that potentially sometime next year, the wonderful country of India is going to get a PLE.
Dude, I've been wondering when they're going to get a PLE for the longest time. I mean, when they had Great Khali at the top of his game, when they had Jinder Mahal at the top of his game, those were the times when maybe you should have held a PLE in India.
Yeah. We know that they had that one big show that was supposed to be a PLE that just didn't turn out to be a PLE.
Was that the one where was that the one where John Cena invented his finisher?
No.
That was an India show too, by the way.
I thought it was a Chinese show, to be honest.
Oh, it was China. Yeah, you're right.
No, but it was the one where, I believe, I can't remember who Triple H teamed up with. I can't remember if that was when he became the honorary third member of the Shield for the night. Or, no, I believe it was Triple H and Bobby Roode. But I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm just excited now. I'm thinking about like all these other countries that the WWE will say rarely or has never held a PLE event in.
Yes.
Especially like when they went to Backlash for Puerto Rico in Puerto Rico. That was a cool show.
Yeah.
And I think one of the New Year's Revolution pay-per-views was also in Puerto Rico. I think it was the first one.
Might have been. But it was Super Showdown was the initial
the Australia one. Yeah.
Yes.
As soon as you said that, because I saw the marquee, which was not the best main event, not gonna lie. Shawn Michaels, Triple H against Taker and Kane.
Yeah.
Yeah. The least said about that match, the better.
Oh, yeah. Even the four of them have said that.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that I'm totally excited about this, but I want to move on to something else that I find is tremendously exciting personally for me, because this woman, her dad, is one of probably my most favorite big guy wrestler ever. We're talking about John Tenta here.
Yes.
Earthquake.
Legendary Canadian wrestler.
Yep.
Let's not forget that.
Dude scared the hell out of me when he beat up Hulk Hogan. But over the years, I come to love the dude, and I absolutely love John Tenta. And I'm saying John Tenta because I loved him as Earthquake. I loved him as the Shark. I loved him as Avalanche. I loved him as when he was just wrestling as John Tenta. I loved him as Golga. Yep. I just named off all his gimmicks.
Yep.
But his daughter is getting in the ring. His daughter is looking to get some training. Sadly, as we know, John Tenta passed away June 7th, 2006 of bladder cancer, which that broke my heart when I saw that. But now she is training to become a pro wrestler. Per her words, she was on the Kelly Clarkson show recently. When I was younger, I used to love watching wrestling. When I was 15, I told my dad that I wanted to do what he did. I wanted to become a professional wrestler. After he died, I stopped watching wrestling for almost 17 years. I tuned back in during WrestleMania 39 and remembered why I loved wrestling so much. In June 2024, I decided that even though I'm older now, I wanted to learn and train to be a pro wrestler for the joy of it. So I've learned so much about how to trust in my body, to believe in myself, to work hard, but most importantly, and what I sought after has formed a new and special connection with my father. According to her social media profile, she is training with Absolute Intense Wrestling. I'm jacked for this. I'm excited for her. Now, we've talked about wrestlers who later on in life became wrestlers. DDP is a prime example of that.
Yep.
He started his training when he was like, 35? Something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, he was active in the business as a manager.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, had never gotten into the ring, taken a bump. But yeah, 35 years of age. And this this lovely woman, I believe, is 32.
Yeah, she said 32 in that interview. And She said she's doing it specifically because she enjoys it. And that's the thing when you're going into the wrestling business. What is the one of the first things my trainer personally has asked me, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And everybody gave like their answer. And I'm like, I'm doing it for the passion.
Yeah.
And he just pointed at me. He's like, that's the right answer right there.
Yeah.
Because everybody else was like, oh, I want a new challenge, blah, blah, blah. You know,
No.
no, the passion. And that's what she has. It's clear to me in that little statement where she's talked about watching wrestling. And yeah, sure, she said she gave up wrestling when her dad died. Because let's face it, do you really want to watch something that your parent once did
Right.
and be able to enjoy it? I mean, certainly you over time you can, and she has done so over time. I mean, like take for instance when my mother passed away, there was a time where I stopped watching Friends.
Right.
That was mine and her show to watch on Thursday nights.
Right.
I stopped watching Friends for a couple of years. Then I decided to go back to it because I'm like, why? This is more about like it's more of a nostalgia thing for me, and I think that's where it goes with her as well. This is going to be a nostalgia thing, a connection that she would share with her dad. Like I can see it right now. Like imagine after her first match, she's going to have like a prayer towards John Tenta and say, "Dad, I hope you were up there watching." And we all know he's going to be sitting ringside watching
Of
that
course.
first match.
Of course he is.
I'm very excited about this. I wish nothing but the best for her. This is going to be very interesting, and there's a part of me that wants to see that, and this would be interesting if one of Typhoon's kids got into wrestling,
Right.
and then they form like an alliance or something like that.
Right. The only thing, and like, good on this young woman. The only thing I am fearful for, and I mean, even if she doesn't make it to the WWE or the big time, and that's all well and good, is that you look at some of these other children of legends, Rachel Ellering, for example, phenomenal talent, but has never been given that opportunity to break out.
Yeah. I'm a little worried about that too, but I'm also worried that she may also end up going the Lacey Von Erich route.
Yep.
Lacey Von Erich was an okay talent, but they pushed her to the moon in TNA. They didn't need to. They didn't let her breathe or, become who she wanted to be, as far as from what I can tell.
Yeah.
They kind of like coasted on the fact that she's Kerry Von Erich's daughter.
They did, and they put her in with the Beautiful People, which, tremendous faction, really boosted her. She was great on the mic. But yes, in the ring, she was lacking. Now, thankfully, she didn't use the Iron Claw.
She did use the spinning fist, though. I've seen her do that.
She did.
That was Kerry Von Erich's other finisher. But for those who don't remember Kerry.
AKA the Texas Tornado.
Yeah. The Whirlwind Punch. That's what they called it. But at the same time, knowing how John Tenta was outside of the ring, like he was a big, lovable teddy bear. Hopefully, she takes that into what the training's going to give her. Be a sponge, soak it up. Don't let anybody give you special treatment because of who your father is.
Right. Ask them
That's
to push
what I
you
can
harder.
tell. Yeah. Well, that's just it. That's the other thing too, is I know that there have been second generation wrestlers who were pushed harder because of who their dad was. Randy Orton flat out admitted that when Harley Race trained him. He trained him the hardest because, well, Harley Race and Bob Orton were good friends. So,
yep.
But yeah, I'm tremendously excited for her. If there's any way that we can watch like her first match, I'm gonna try to find a way to watch it.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to try my hardest to find a way to watch this because again, I fully support anybody who goes into the wrestling business, whether you're the daughter of a legend or the son of a legend or just somebody who loves the business. Take for instance Pat McAfee, right?
Absolutely.
That promo last night that Pat McAfee cut on Gunther and how he talked about how long he's had a passion for the business despite not going into the business right away because football, you know.
Yep.
I walked away from that promo with even more respect for McAfee.
Right.
And here's the thing: when McAfee came to the WWF or WWE, what, like 10 years ago, something like that, close to it.
Yeah.
I hated him when he first started off. I did not care for him. I thought he was just another Joe Blow from the NFL who was coming in to work with the WWE.
Right. Another brash, arrogant, two-sport athlete.
Mm-hmm.
But then you watched him in War Games.
I read about him, actually.
And it was just like, well, crud, this guy can go.
Yeah, for me, it was, I decided to read up on him, and I found out because before, when he said all the stuff at the promo last night, I already knew about that love for wrestling he had because he did an interview with like Sports Illustrated where he talked about his love for the sport, and he actually like rhymed off like legendary wrestlers that no other people who call themselves wrestling fans would say. Like, take for instance, if you talk to a lapsed wrestling fan, the names that they're going to say they remember are Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold, The Rock, Macho Man.
Yeah.
Those are always the names I get. But he was rhyming off like Billy Jack Haynes. He was rhyming off Hercules. He was rhyming off Haku.
Right.
All the mid card guys who did that. By the way, the other day I watched a Haku match from 1986 in the WWF where he wrestled as a babyface, and I thought that was strange.
Right.
Because I've always known him as a heel. But no, again, I really hope she gets the proper training. I hope that this Absolute Intense Wrestling is a good school. I'm going to have to do some digging on it. And I hope she succeeds. As I do with everyone who goes in the wrestling business, I hope they succeed.
Yes, we all do.
But already, because it's also been kind of a late news day, minus the heavy news that we've got coming up next. It's time for our showstopper segment. On his feet. And as, of course, today's theme of the show is what goes in, what goes out. And of course, we are talking about the WWE releases that happened over the weekend. That's the wrong overlay. And the signings that happened over the weekend. So yeah, this is hang on one second here. I'm trying to click an article, and Facebook is giving me a warning about that. So this was an article that I picked up from May 2nd, 2025, but I'm going to actually go ahead and look for the full list of wrestlers that were released because there were a lot of them.
Yes.
WWE releases 2025. Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Cultaholic. Yeah, I'm giving a shout out to one of my favorite YouTube channels because. So we're looking at the list of releases here. Dakota Kai, Braun Strowman, Shayna Baszler, Kaden Carter, Katana Chance from the main roster. Down on NXT, Cora Jade, Gigi Dolan, Eddie Thorpe, Jakara Jackson, Riley Osborne, Oro Mensa, Javier Barnell, Joe Coffey, Mark Coffey, Wolfgang, and Danny Palmer have all been released from the WWE.
Yeah.
Now, the main roster stars are subject to the 90-day no-compete clause, with the whereas NXT has a 30-day non-complete clause. And to add to that list, she was not released, but Shotzi has been informed that they are not going to renew her contract.
Right. And as well, rumors came out that Shinsuke Nakamura was not renewing, or he was choosing to walk away, which
that is false.
Can you let me finish?
Yeah.
But yes, that report has been debunked. Nobody knows what's going on with Shinsuke.
They're just taking him off TV for now to find out where he's going to fit in.
Yeah.
Because right now, this is the WWE's policy these days. If you don't have a storyline, they're not going to put you on TV.
Yeah.
Simple as that. But one of the ones that really hurts me is Braun Strowman's release, because I loved watching Braun. You guys have seen me on the Raw Patrol and the security detail stand up to this man when it came to Braun Strowman coming out.
Yep.
For those who are listening, I pointed towards OMD.
Yes, we are. Well, no, because I'm actually this way.
Not on my screen.
Oh. See, on my screen, you're there.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, you and I are polar opposites when it comes to Braun Strowman.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think he's going to take money somewhere else this time around? Yes. I don't think he's going to wait for the callback this time.
I was going to sorry, go ahead.
If he gets the opportunity. Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say, at the same time, I know you respect what he's done in the ring.
To a point, yes, but I also, anybody who knows have heard me say I can run around the ring and knock people down. And it's, it was something that got him over.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, this time around, his previous release, he basically said, I wasn't signing anywhere else. I knew this day was going to come that I was coming back to WWE. This time around, I think he is going to take that. But I also think this release, as much as they say it had to do with him being paid more than he was performing and what he was asked to do, I think this has a lot to do with his health.
Okay, but I'm going to counter that point right now, because if it did have something to do with his health, Braun Strowman has a lawsuit on his hands. Because you don't just let go of somebody because, your health sucks. Look at how many lawsuits Eric Bischoff went through after releasing people who were still hospitalized.
Yeah.
The British Bulldog is the perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Braun Strowman's contract was expensive. I can't tell you how much it was, but it was up there.
From what I was seeing the other day, it was in the $1.5 million range annually.
Yeah. But at the same time, this is something that, because this isn't the first time that a release has happened where they said, the wrestler was too expensive. Couldn't they have sat down to negotiate a lower deal?
Yeah.
It's something I think about too. And let's talk about some of the women on this list that have been released. Specifically, one of your favorite women, Dakota Kai. I know this one breaks your heart.
I'm devastated. I was absolutely crushed to see this.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, it was not as big a surprise for me. It was something that I was expecting.
I already have a scenario for where she's going.
Okay.
And you're gonna love it, because you're still gonna see her on your screen. TNA.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where she's gonna go.
It's the best place for her to go.
Same with Casey Squared. I want to see them two on TNA.
Yes.
I feel like there's something that they can do with the Knockouts tag team division there.
And you know what? The best part about that is you can get them to TNA and then slowly work them back in with NXT.
Yeah, because here's the thing with all of these releases that have happened. This isn't goodbye. It's just so long.
Exactly.
It's just all these wrestlers, specifically one that I'm looking at, Riley Osborne, who had a ton of potential ahead of him. They
Yep.
just need to go out there and get just a little bit more seasoning. And I'm also looking at you, Eddie Thorpe, too. I want to see you get out there and do something interesting.
Yes, but apparently as well, from what I was hearing, a guy like Riley Osborne, his attitude did not mix well.
Well, that's where you go and get the seasoning in the independent circuit.
He basically got ticked off and told them, no, I'm not going to do Evolve.
You never say no in the wrestling business.
No, exactly.
You don't. If you feel uncomfortable, like if you're being put in a situation that makes you feel uncomfortable, then yes. But if you're going to be taking part in the Evolve stuff, that's still exposure.
Exactly. And I mean, there's another one, but yes, like I was devastated, but even like with Dakota's history and she's injury prone.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be the first to admit it. I love the girl to death. But when you can't be relied on, like to me, she was the female Wade Barrett.
Except Wade Barrett suddenly got better after after being released, because we know Wade had some troubles with his, I think it was like his elbow or something like that, was it not?
His elbow, but I mean, every time, like Wade held the Intercontinental Championship, 5 times, and every time he held it, he got hurt and had to forfeit the title.
Mm-hmm.
And that, for me, is where Dakota Kai was at, was every time she was coming back and starting to build, she would get hurt.
Yeah. Now, here's another team that I would like to see go to TNA, more specifically because I want to see an old rivalry be heated back up. And that's Gallus. I want to see Joe Coffey and Joe Hendry. I want to see that rivalry get heated back up. Because if you've watched any of their matches that they did while they both worked in WCPW and ICW, man, they put on some fire matches.
They did. But I think if you're going to go over there with another multi-person team where you've already got the system, and I know it's going to be easier to turn the system face because they're the established faces of TNA and the cornerstones, alongside a Joe Hendry. But you bring Gallus in as the baby faces to take out the system.
See, that's where, again, because Joe Coffey and Joe Hendry, not only did they have massive feuds with each other, but there were moments where Joe Hendry needed Joe Coffey's help, Joe Coffey needed Joe Hendry's help, and they would team up. So yeah, that's exciting. But let's flip the script here and talk about the signings that have taken place over the weekend. We're of course talking about all the AAA signings that have happening. Talking about El Heel de Dr. Dr. Wagner, Heel del Vikingo, La Parca, La Hydra, Lady Flammer, Lady Maravilla, and Nino Hamburguesa. I'm butchering some of these names, but of course, the big one, the one that we didn't think would ever come back, but here he is, Alberto El Patron. I'm excited for Vikingo specifically.
Yeah. Even El Hijo del Wagner.
Yeah.
But Alberto, do we see him coming to WWE TV?
No, that's the thing I'm thinking about with these signings. These are going to be signings that are going to stay in AAA.
Right.
Like, because they need names. They need guys like they need Vikingo over there. They need Dr. Wagner there. They need Patron to be there to help boost AAA. Now, in an update to this whole thing that one Carl Carafel sent us through Yahoo Sports, according to the Twitter account of Lucha Blog, they stated that WWE didn't give Alberto Del Rio a contract. In actuality, WWE is likely assuming the responsibility for the contract that Alberto signed with AAA last year. And yes, we know of the controversies that Alberto Del Rio has had in the States.
Yes.
But here's the flip side of this, and this is why I think it's a smart idea to keep El Patron on the payroll and in AAA. The dude is like Hulk Hogan or Stone Cold Steve Austin or The Rock in Mexico.
Yeah.
He is a huge deal there. They also noted that Ocampo will likely know more details about the contract statuses. This is the guy who's helping run AAA, by the way. But the situation was evolving since it was first announced last month. Additionally, Ocampo posted another update and said that the AAA wrestlers will be on the roster that will compete in Mexico. However, a few of them, like Vikingo, could appear. So these are the ones that have been okay. So could possibly appear on joint events with NXT in the United States. So that's where it's leading me to believe that maybe WWE is signing these guys, keeping their AAA contract. They're still signing them to a WWE deal,
right?
So that they can be paid properly.
And I mean, we already saw Vikingo at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
Vikingo just recently worked a TNA show.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen Vikingo in All Elite Wrestling. Now, we also do know that Worlds Collide is coming up.
That's where I'm getting to with this. Because I'm thinking like the names that I listed off there, they're all pretty big names.
Yes. And then, and let's not forget, because just a week after Worlds Collide, on June 15th, is AAA Triple Mania.
Mm-hmm. And that's where we're going to see some WWE stars go over there. As reported last night, Los Garza is going to be there.
Yes. And I would not be surprised to see more.
Yeah, I'm already looking at Los Garza. I'm looking at Zelina Vega. I'm looking at Rey Mysterio, Rey Fenix, Penta, Cruz del Toro, Joaquin Wilde, Dragon Lee.
See, some of them, yes, some no, but one in particular that I am looking at, two. Santos Escobar, a.k.a. El Hijo del Fantasma.
Yeah, or, look who's on NXT.
El Hijo del Fantasma?
No, but I'm just going to leave a hint here. People like to walk with him.
Interesting. But there is one, and it was a gentleman that a number of years ago lost a mask versus hair match in Mexico before coming to WWE. That being one Andrade.
Yeah, I need to go back and look here because I thought, I did miss a name here. One of Mexico's biggest legends. How did I miss this one? La Parca has been signed.
You said La Parca.
Did I?
You did.
Okay. Because I'm like, did I say his name? I did say Joe Hendrick's name, but
but he didn't appear.
He did. He appeared on my TV.
Oh. So while Mr. Best is muted again, this is huge. I mean, it's not a case, ladies and gentlemen, of out with the old, in with the new. This is a matter of sometimes you need to get people to reset and refocus. Anything can happen at any given time. Wrestling is just as much a business as it is our entertainment.
Yeah, so like for the wrestlers who got released into the for the wrestlers who got signed, especially for the wrestlers who got released, would it make sense for them to let you go and do stuff, do other things if they've got nothing for you? That's just my thought, and I stand by that, especially when Low Key. Remember when Low Key went to creative and was like,
Yep.
"Hey, do you guys have something for me?" No, and this went on for like 3-4 weeks tops.
Yep.
Then Low Key was like, "Okay, well, if you guys got nothing for me, then why am I here?"
Yeah. And that's why, like, when Gallows and Anderson returned, they had it written into their contracts if they were not going to be used on TV, don't bring them to TV.
Mm-hmm. And ultimately, this past January, they got their release, and they, as announced this afternoon, I believe it was, will be wrestling at Maple Leaf Pro.
They were actually announced a couple of weeks ago, but their opponents were announced.
Their opponents were revealed today.
Yes. No, yesterday.
Oh, I saw it this afternoon, so
I saw it yesterday, but they are taking on Bullet Club running buddies in the War Dogs.
So it's not the only time we're going to see Bullet Club members fight each other this year.
No.
Because on Monday we've got AJ and Finn.
Yes, we do.
But there's a lot of these. I'm actually intrigued. So I don't get to watch a lot of AAA wrestling, but I'm very intrigued with these female wrestlers that I'm seeing here.
Yes.
That
Now,
they're bringing in.
What I want to ask is, like, with AAA coming under the WWE umbrella, and we know they're going to be run as their own entity, but does that mean that WWE is going to have the rights to their library to showcase their stuff?
I'm glad you asked that question because I thought of the same thing too. And I thought that on the WWE YouTube channel, it's not just WWE that they show there now. They show professional bull riding on there for whatever reason now on that channel.
TKO owns PBR as well.
Yeah, so I'm thinking in that sense, on the WWE channel, we could very well see AAA weekly events on that channel.
That would be fantastic.
I would be totally okay with that, and I wouldn't mind it if I know that they put AAA or Triple Mania on pay-per-view because I've seen it in I've actually seen it in my pay-per-view guide when I used to have actual cable.
Yep.
I would not be too opposed to it being showing up on again, we'll say YouTube, where maybe you've got to drop a couple of dollars to watch the event.
Right. When I had IPTV, I went through because I found out, like, and it was listing in my pay-per-view channels, but I went to check it out, couldn't get it, went to another channel, and it was literally a AAA channel. And it was listed again there, but again, it got blacked out. So I was actually trying to check out some AAA and some Lucha Libre so that, you know, I'm not totally biased and saying I'm against it, because I'm not against Lucha Libre. I'm just not as big a fan as some people.
Yeah, it's one of those things, I think, with you where if you took the time and sat down and watched a couple of events, you'll grow to like it. You know what I mean? Because we had AAA growing up here on our TVs. Saturday afternoons we could watch it.
It was CMLL.
Sure, it wasn't AAA because I remember La Parka being on that show, and I remember Conan, and I remember several other names that eventually went to WCW.
I remember La Parka, but I'm almost positive it was CMLL.
But no, we got Mexican Spanish wrestling on our TVs in the afternoon, Saturdays at noon. It was always on after Superstars which aired on CBS here.
Yep.
Oh no, sorry, it is. No, you're no, CBS at 11 o'clock on Saturday mornings. I remember that. Always came on after Ninja Turtles.
Yep.
But
But
I'm
it was
very
funny
excited to
because
be.
we used to watch it at camp, and you'd go to the Fox channel out there, and you get primetime wrestling. Go to CBS, there's Superstars. Go to
Yep,
CTV, and there's a third one, and then you go
Cavalcade.
and then you go
That,
to Tele Latino and watch CMLL or
yep. It was literally like, okay, so on the weekends, we used to do a lot of like visiting family on the weekends with me. So like we would go after 11 a.m. after watching Superstars. We'd go out. I'd go to my grandma's. Okay, can I go? Can I go downstairs watch wrestling? Turn on CMLL.
yep.
Okay, that show's over 1 p.m. Okay, we're gonna go see my sister's dad. Okay, gonna turn on Cavalcade Wrestling or WCW Worldwide also used to air on CTV as well around that time.
Yeah.
It was for us up here in Canada, in Ontario, it was a full day of wrestling we got. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, this I have a feeling. Let's go back to the Del Rio signing here. I have a feeling that he's just there to hold the title.
See, and I think I don't. I think at some point you can bring him back.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you work him into an event like Worlds Collide and slowly work him back up through NXT. And maybe,
if he
just
does
maybe,
come
if you
back,
get him back to the main roster, you bring him back as a heel manager and you turn Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde.
if he does come back, and let's say he comes back into to the in-ring stuff, I want him to come back to his original theme song he had with Ricardo Rodriguez. And I know we're not going to see Ricardo Rodriguez because he's signed to MLW.
Yes, and I was going to say, if we bring him back, I want Ricardo.
Yeah, Ricardo's in MLW right now, though.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I'm just thinking about like all the controversies he's had. That we're just going to say controversies because there's a litany of them right now.
Yes, there is.
I think he's just there to hold the belt, and once they drop the title, maybe they might let him go. But again, that's where it's a little bit hard because as I've noted earlier, the dude's a god in Mexico. So maybe you might want to keep him around.
I wouldn't even be surprised to see him, like I suggested, the heel manager. I could even see him doing a general manager's type of role. But it's going to depend on how many companies and brands you truly want under the umbrella.
Yeah, and again, I think let's go going back to like the purchase of AAA. I feel like this is WWE's in to putting the W in world as far as going into Mexico to do shows.
Well, we know that originally this Saturday's PLE Backlash was supposed to be Mexico City.
Mm-hmm.
There is still hope that they can get a PLE this year in Mexico City or early next year.
I'm not counting on it right now because the majority of the pay-per-view calendar has been released already. So, but at the same time, I kind of want to see some of these Mexican wrestlers start showing up on TV a little bit because we're already not far off from Worlds Collide.
We are not. We are a month away from that.
Mm-hmm.
On Saturday, June 7th.
Yeah. But you know what else we're not too far off from showing, guys?
Our calendar, where you can see everything we have going on here at the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program.
Exactly.
Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program bring you the week of streams. All times are in Eastern Time. Monday nights you get the Locker Room Breakdown at 7 p.m., followed by the Raw Patrol at 8 p.m. Tuesday brings you the flagship show, Turnbuckle Talk, at 8:05 p.m. Wednesday we play games with the PlayStation Showcase at 8 p.m. Thursday we got total non-stop action with Brace for Impact at 8 p.m. Friday we game again with Unleashed, the Jessica Wilde story at 7 p.m. Following the game, join us for the SmackDown Security Detail at 8 p.m. The weekend brings you Saturday Night Gaming at 8 p.m. On Sunday be sure to catch the Chris Parrish podcast at 12:15 p.m. followed by the Boar's Nest at 8 p.m. Be part of the shows and join the chat every day.
Yeah, and if you want all the information you can get as far as the Turnbuckle Studios stuff goes, all you got to do is just head on over to turnbucklestudios.org. From there, you'll be able to go to the Meet the Team. You'll be able to meet myself, OMD, Carl Carafel, Bubba Duke, and Chris Parrish. And you'll be able to reach out to us for possible collaboration or to find out just how to get into the podcasting world, whether it's what kind of equipment you need, helping you out with ideas. We're the guys that you can talk to about that. And OMD is still stuck in his loop. So I'm just going to go ahead and give my socials out, where you can find me at my link tree, lanktr.ee/Chris_best83. You can look for myself tomorrow night alongside OMD, where we're going to be covering Far Cry 3 on the PlayStation Showcase. OMD, you're still looping, aren't you? Oh, the loop is still happening. If you don't mind, I'm just going to go ahead and read off yours as well. OMD, if you want to find him, his link tree is lanktr.ee/OMD show. And on that note, those famous words that we like to go out on, ladies and gentlemen, the world's a scary place. Take care of each other.